The biggest breakthrough of my entire business came from a decision that honestly made me feel a little crazy. I invested $100,000 we absolutely did not have. Everyone thought I'd absolutely lost my mind. But that moment, that wild, terrifying leap, is what changed everything. And today, I'm gonna show you the mindset that made that possible. A mindset you can use to make your next big leap feel clear, doable, and aligned. But before that leap ever happened, there was a mindset shift that changed every decision I made. And that's where this story really begins.
In the old days, when I was just starting out, I was definitely guilty of overthinking everything. I mean, if an offer came my way and it was actually in the court of something I was looking for help with, I didn't just go for it. I would think about it a lot. I would need to sleep on it. I would need to ask other friends and maybe see if I could get some references who had worked with this person or done this program before. And while those are all super valid things to do, you might be listening and saying, well, of course you'd want to do that before you invested money. It can also serve as an anchor. It can keep you moving slow, and overthinking things can, something seems like a good and inspiring idea in 1 minute, and then by the time you overthink it, survey the world, right? Check references, you can't even remember why you wanted it in the first place. I call this possibility disappears, right? When you get an idea, when something opens up for you that's possible, it disappears really fast. A lot like if you've ever had a super vivid dream and you say, I'm just gonna go to the bathroom and come back and tell my honey. And you think you're gonna remember it because it was so colorful, so real. And you run to the bathroom and you come back, and I don't know if this has happened to you. I cannot access that super vivid, amazing, exciting dream. And I have found that when you see something new that's possible, like you're sitting in a workshop, a seminar, a training, you're listening to somebody inspired, it's, you can get so open, this doorway opens. And I have found that if I don't act, if I don't, I call it put a wedge in to hold the door open, it can just close really fast. And the best way I've learned to put that wedge in, to hold the door of possibility open, is by taking what I now call inspired action. Right? You get the possibility, it feels like inspiration, so you take an action that's going to hold the door open. In the world of business, a lot of times the action that there is to take is committing financially or committing your time. It's some kind of an investment usually of time, money, or energy. And a lot of times they all fit together, right? You hire someone, it's gonna commit your time, there's going to be a financial investment, there's going to be energy. Inspired action. In 2009, I was sitting in Tucson, Arizona. My then husband was studying to be a heart transplant surgeon, so gone a lot, super committed to his path. We had a newborn and a 3-year-old, and I was trying to make things happen, keep the family going, pay the bills, and do my own passion. It was at that time that I knew I was coaching people one by one, got it up to about $80,000, $100,000 a year. That's what it looks like successful as a one-on-one coach or mentor or service provider. But then you know what happens. At about that level, you have no life. Every new client is one less workout, one less hour with your kids, right? Maybe not even a shower sometimes. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. So I needed to do something different. And the biggest thing that I did, I think it was just, the pressure was so much, is I started taking inspired action. I just thought, you know what, something's gotta give. So I remember the day when I saw an invitation come through to do a seminar. I lived in Tucson. I was gonna have to travel to LA. It would be one of my first trips away from my kids, but it was how to get my work online. And to me, sitting there at that moment at 2 in the morning after the kids went to sleep, I thought, that, I've got to do something. I'm not going to overthink this. I'm not going to check a million references on this person. I'm not going to pray on it and sleep on it. I'm going to just do it. I clicked the button. It was an 8-pay for me to be able to afford it, right? It was $3,000 and I paid $300 a month for 8 months to get to go to that seminar. And it was the first time that I really just went for it. It almost, at the time I would have described it as I did something that didn't make sense. But now I'm here to tell you that taking action in the moment that you're inspired makes a lot of sense. And especially I have found when it comes to growing my business. If you are of the spiritual belief that Source, God, your higher self puts things in front of you at the right time for the right reason, then how much more questioning do we really have to do? So I came up with a little process for myself that I want to pass on to you. It's my inspired action process. If you've done any work on our campus at all, we teach people how to sell without being salesy. If you've done any work on my campus, you know I love systems, I love process, I love step-by-step. So yes, I've even taken a spiritual practice, like taking inspired action and given it some steps. Because you know what? It's working for me. It's been the biggest mindset shift that I've had. And if what I say today can help you inch a little bit further toward where you might want to be going in your business, then I did my job today. It's my inspired action process. It has 3 steps. Listen, act, trust. Listen, act, trust. Now, that seems pretty simple, right? Like maybe I should just click away right now. I know what those 3 words mean, but hang with me for just a couple more minutes. Listen. It's really about what is coming into your space. You know, is there a reason that I was in pain and looking for a way to leverage myself, and then I connected with this person that was offering a workshop on how to get online? If you're not an auditory person, it might be look or see, but pay attention to what is coming in your space, and especially if it's tapping into a pain that you have, if solutions are coming. It always reminds me of that, you know, there's a story about, you know, the man who his whole town is drowning. He's on his roof and he's saying, "God, please save me," you know, and a boat comes by, I think, and then he says, you know, "Get in," and the man says, "No, you know, I'm waiting for God to save me," and he lets the boat go by. And then a helicopter comes by and says, "Hey man, you know, let me drop you a line," and the man says, "Well, no, I'm waiting for God to save me." I'm sure you've heard this one before, right? So the man ends up in heaven, right? Doesn't work out. And he gets his chance to talk to God. And he says, "God, you know, I put my faith in you. I believed in you. I was on that roof and I was just waiting for you." And God said, "Well, I don't know, you know, why you weren't paying attention, man. I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter." And sometimes there is a boat and a helicopter right in front of us, right? And that's what the listen part is. Like, notice the boat, notice the helicopter, say yes. And then, you know, once you've done that, then what is there to do? Act, jump in the boat, get on the helicopter, right? It's not just noticing it, you've got to take the action to really drive results in your business, have breakthroughs, you know, tap into thinking and expertise and training that you may not have otherwise. And then I really think that, you know, the faster we can get these moving, listening, taking the action, and then I think the hardest one, the sustaining part, is the trust. You've got to trust the action that you've taken. When you're hanging, flying through the air on that ladder while the helicopter is driving you off to safety, thinking, "What the heck did I do? I am untethered." That's where you've got to trust that, like, God sent me the helicopter. I am in the right place. This is the move that I needed to make. So trust tends to be the hardest one. I know it seems like listening and acting would really be the hardest, and those are definitely the things you need to cause your breakthroughs. But trust, this comes in when you get home and you tell your spouse that you invested in another program. This is when you tell your accountant that you just, you know, made a 5-figure investment in maybe a year-long training, mastermind, or networking program, and they're looking at your book saying, you know, based on our calculations, this investment is not quite warranted yet. I remember the day when I went to that online seminar. I promised myself, like so many of us have, I was not going to buy another thing. I would just implement what I learned. And sure enough, the mentor made an offer that, you know, sitting there at 40 years old with my husband, you know, about to graduate in a few years, I thought, if I don't make my move now, I am just going to end up, you know, wondering what I could have been. She made an invitation for a $100,000 training program. We don't have rich parents and there was no money under the mattress, just tell you that much. I remember telling my accountant that I had said yes to that. And back in the day, in 2009, when that happened, she thought I was a little cray-cray. But now, because of what I did with that investment, because of the fire that it tapped in me, I listened, I acted, I trusted, and even with my closest advisors questioning me, I trusted, I trusted, I trusted. Right? And that is the year that I took that quantum leap to the multi-million-dollar level. We got acknowledged as an Inc. 500 fastest growing company in the United States, number 20 in women-owned business. So That's the hardest part. Ladies, sometimes for us, we don't come factory installed with boundaries like men do. I just really want to encourage you to pay attention to honoring your decisions. You are the one walking in your moccasins. You know what your goals are. You know what got tapped into when you said yes to whatever you said yes to. And it probably wasn't just in your head. It probably had to do with your heart, right? In your heart, it has no questions. And your head doesn't always have the answers, not the good answers at least. So that is the Listen, Act, Trust process. I bless you with this today. If it resonates with you, use it well. And of course, if there's a piece of you that would like to learn how you can inspire other people into action, that's what my life's work is all about. So
if something stirred in you today, trust that. Remember, possibility disappears fast unless you slip a little wedge in that door. And before your head jumps in with all the reasons to wait, honor what your heart already knows. Take one inspired action right now. Just scan the QR code and grab your irresistible offer blueprint. I created it so you can take that gift you can't not share, you know the one, and finally organize it in a way that invites pursuit instead of pressure. You're closer than you think. You've already done the heavy lifting. Let this be the moment you honor that nudge. I bless you with this. Use it well. And I can't wait to support you as you step into your next inspired action.